This is DJ.
And this is Ish.
And this is
Season 6 of
Pero Let Me Tell You.
All right, mi gente. Now, episode 249.
Pero Let Me Tell You goes west.
I was going to say, most people wait until 250 to do something special, but we're not those people. We'd like to keep you on your toes. And so for 249, like you just said, we're out here, we're out west, we're in LA right now. And even better than that, we are in the pecking room. We are in the pecking room, which is owned by absolutely none other than the one, the only Eddie Zamora, the Yum Yum Foodie. So thank you so much for inviting us to your home, bro. Like,
I'm wondering how long I can go without saying anything. You are so welcome. Thank you for coming over.
Salud.
To the casa.
We are having
a
rum milk
punch
that he made.
Yeah. No, I didn't make it. I'm not. This is friends of mine made this.
Nobody will know. Take the credit.
No, I'm not taking credit for something.
So welcome everybody. Welcome.
What do you think I am, George Santos, dude?
This is true. This is true.
Welcome. Yeah. As we told you last week, we are going to be doing a series of episodes of Pero Let Me Tell You Goes West.
Yep.
This was always the plan. We did it in 2019. We did a series of episodes back then, and here in LA to kind of show the duality of our culture in both the East Coast and West Coast. What's similar, what's different.
The fact we have mileage points.
And we were supposed to do this every year, but there was a pandemic that kind of came in and kind of ruined everything for everyone. But here we are, and we had to have you on the show because not only are you West Coast, but you are originally East Coast, so you have that double flair that is perfect for our show.
When you had to clarify too, when you said out west, it's not Kendall.
You're
across the United States.
No, because he lives in Kendall, so that's just a normal episode.
We're not a Chrome detention center.
That's right.
No. We're not a finca. Hanging out with Eileen.
Yeah, we're not a finca.
We love Eileen, we love finca.
Yeah. Good.
I gotta say though, I just to state the obvious, and I am so in love with this bar behind us. Like, your bar is insane, dude.
Thank you.
How long did it take you to collect everything?
It's definitely my little sanctuary. I want to say I've had it for just about a year.
That's it?
Yeah, just about a year. Yeah, just about a year old. There were stages of it. Right. The initial stage was deciding I wanted a bar. Okay. So there's that, because this was essentially like my little gym, storage, whatever. And then figuring out the wallpaper, got that down, getting a vibe. But everything was built like Frankenstein, dude. It was like an ear from here, a thing from there, a rack from Costco. The bar is from a wedding company that was going out of business. Yeah. And I went to their warehouse and they put up all of their bars and couches and cocktail tables and all that stuff for sale during the pandemic. And I got the bar.
It looks great.
Oh, it's great. It's on casters. It rolls around. It's it's a wedding bar.
And it doesn't look like an IKEA catalog.
No
hate to IKEA. No hate to IKEA. I have IKEA furniture at home.
We all do.
But the thing with IKEA is
not
that
for long.
I feel that. But I feel that when you go to IKEA a lot to buy a lot of things, then your house ends up looking like an IKEA catalog.
Yeah, like modular.
Because I'll look at it, I'm like, that's a Lask. That's a blah blah blah.
That's the Billy. That's the
I think that's a game show. A game show is who can actually pronounce the IKEA furniture correctly and who can build it faster. I think that's the ultimate game show right there.
I've gotten good at that.
You have
gotten good at that.
I would say who has
an Allen wrench expert.
I have. You know what the IKEA names are based on?
No.
Bodies of water in Sweden.
No shit.
Yeah, but I'm thinking, like, how many bodies of water?
Yeah, right?
And I'm thinking, like, do they discontinue and then use these names again? Because, like, I know that Sweden is there's a part of it that's an archipelago that, like, has a lot of
that.
But it's like a lot of fruit. Okay, una cuchara has a different name from the otra cuchara. Like,
that's insane to me. But they probably at this point they're naming chacos.
I was gonna say, like, definitely canals and
you know what? Yeah. Who's gonna correct them?
True.
Like, really, is the American gonna be like, that's not a Swedish body of water?
Yeah. I'm always perplexed by the people that have lunch at IKEA. That they actually like. One thing is going to IKEA to buy furniture, and then one thing is feeling compelled that you're like, man, I need those meatballs today. I'm gonna go to IKEA right now, and I'm gonna get those meatballs. I'm gonna get the.
So you're saying people who go there just for the lunch?
They park and they go up the escalator and they go right through the cashier and go to the lunch area, and you're like,
you know
really?
what? I don't hate on their meatballs, but I feel that that's a lot of work.
It is, right?
To go have meatballs.
Yeah. I've seen it.
It's funny because my kid, he last year I took him. We had to go to IKEA for something. Actually, it was something for his room, and he wanted to have the meatballs. And they put the little Swedish flag, and he's like, "Oh my God, these meatballs are from Sweden!" And I'm like, "Yep, they are. They come every morning. Sweden Air comes in.
Those meatballs are about as Swedish as that Muppet chef.
Yeah, probably. Yeah,
probably. The chef is probably more Swedish.
Yeah, probably.
So, yeah, guys, now that we're here, maybe this is news to you, and I want to bring a little Miami into it. Have you guys heard about the new Miami area code?
No.
Wait, what?
There's a new Miami area code.
So we had 305, 786,
and 645. And apparently,
wait, where's
so apparently
that really rolls off the tongue.
So this is what's
how
going
long
on.
was I in TSA?
So this is
this happened.
He got stuck in TSA. It's a long story.
Body cavity search, everything.
It's a long story. Missing plane. Okay. Anyway, a 645. So apparently now, especially since there's been such an influx of Northerners, people from New York coming to Miami, there is a new area code. And the joke is that a lot of these New Yorkinos that are now brickolites are getting stuck with the 645 and they're not happy about it.
Tough shit.
But it's 2023. Keep your fucking 212.
Actually,
like what?
yeah,
I don't
there's
understand.
that.
Like
Yeah.
what are you doing?
Yeah.
But also
I kept my 305. I've lived here for almost 19 years.
You still have the 305?
I still have the 305
Cheers.
number.
Cheers
Cheers
to
to
that.
that. I'm not giving it up. Sorry.
Cheers to that. So people, you're not taking his 305.
No.
He's not giving it up to you who live in Brickell.
Never. No.
Fuck no.
Hell
Yeah.
no, bro.
But again, what do you mean they're upset? Because I mean, like, hello, it's one of those things where you're not even a Miamian.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, so what are you upset about? You had no, like, I'd be pissed if for some reason something happened with my number or it got disconnected accidentally, and all of a sudden now I have to get a fucking. I'd be pissed at a 786. I'm not. I will.
Yeah.
I will burn that phone store to the ground if they give me a 654.
Yeah, and, I mean, but here's the 786 or 954.
But 954 is at least Broward.
Yeah.
No, I know. But if you
If I rather
you got,
have one,
yeah.
probably a 954.
I would say 954.
Yeah, because I don't know.
It's still OG.
786.
Yeah.
Yes, that's why a 7. I mean, I know people that have a 786 and whatever, but I can't imagine.
Yeah, but
being
you don't
anything
call them.
But a 305. In fact, listen to this. My parents have had the same phone number since they came from Cuba.
Wow.
Since it came from Cuba, they've never gotten rid of the same phone
They
number.
still have a home line.
So this is what happened.
They need to keep it because that is one of the only 3 phone numbers that I know. And if I ever go to jail, I have told him I'm gonna have to call his parents.
Not if ever. When you go to jail.
So this is what happened. So one of the reasons they kept a landline was because my grandmother, they still, para cosa de la clínica and all that, they kept a landline for her. So, my grandmother passed a year ago, and she also, the landline was like through some government assistance, whatever. So she got it dirt cheap. So my parents were like, well, that's it. We're going to get rid of it. And I was like, no, like you've had this phone number for like 40 some years. Like you cannot get rid of this number. This number is a part of
Also,
me.
you should tell him, y si arrestan a Ismael, no va a tener quien llamar.
So I actually called T-Mobile, and you could transport a landline into a cell phone.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So
that's
I
great.
got their landline, and now it's a cell phone, and it's my mom's cell phone.
Amazing.
And that number will be with me till the day I leave the earth. Like I'm not getting rid of that number.
I think I want to do that with my dad's phone in Miami. He has
can.
his landline. I think I want to do that.
You can. You can.
Ooh.
You could.
Okay.
You could do that with any.
See, this is
with
the
any phone
learn
number.
part of the episode.
Yes,
Yeah.
this is the learn part of it. Let me tell you. I mean, I have T-Mobile, but I'm sure you could do it with any carrier.
I have T-Mobile, so we can make it work. All right, cool.
So now you know. So you can be 305 till you die.
Yeah, you can.
So let those
Unless
New Yorkinos take the 645.
I was going to say 645. Call me stupid, but how many permutations of area codes are there now in the U.S.?
I have no clue, so I'm equally stupid. So I don't.
Well, no, yeah,
I don't
I wasn't
know.
really asking. I was just kind of asking, like metaphorically, rhetorically, because like I can't imagine that they're still just pulling them out of thin air. You know what I mean? Like it's
Yeah.
like 305, 786. What was it? New York had 212, and then there was a new one.
What's the one that Carrie Bradshaw hated?
That one. Was it 917?
I never watched Sex and the City, so I don't know.
Okay. Well, I mean, look, Whitney got pissed when it was a 213. Okay, that showed up on the caller ID.
Anyway,
As in Whitney Houston. Sorry,
so Whitney Houston has this.
Your
song.
face said that you had no idea what was happening
Well, I
right
know
now.
213 area code, and I just remember her going, Bobby! You know, that I always remember.
She has this
It's tied.
song. What song is it?
It's not right, but it's okay.
That
got
she
it.
starts off. So why did 213 show?
Yeah,
I don't know the song.
it said it was your friend who was calling from the corner. So why did 213 show up on the caller ID?
Oh, good. All right. Yeah.
Who knows? So anyway,
The learning part of the episode. I'm learning. Yeah.
you could thank us later, listeners.
When you're at trivia and they ask you who sang about 213, you're gonna know now because of us.
And what was on their caller ID? So anyway, Eddie. So you are originally from Miami. You went to high school in Miami. You
Yep.
You did the whole Miami experience, and you've told me you lived here in LA for about close to 20 years. So you've been here a good chunk of your life. What would you say are the similarities and the differences between that LA, Miami,
I mean,
experience?
the similarities is as I think that Central Americans and Caribbean folks have a lot more similarities than we give credit for. And when you live out here long enough, you start to really acknowledge that we are so the same. Our accents are a little bit different, but man, we are so the same. The food is a little bit different, but we're so the same. The difference is, and maybe this is just from my obviously it is, more of late is the compassion. We were talking about you were in traffic here in LA and you put a turn signal and people just let you in. That is probably the biggest distinction is there's some, I don't know, I can't remember who it was that said this to me, but it really connected with me. Was like, Miami is me, a me.
Yeah.
And it's this me. I call them opera singers because everything is me. And this is not the whole city by no means. This is my hometown. I love it, but I feel like I can.
It's family. You could say what you want to say.
Yeah, and there's just there's this one little notch of compassion that's not there. Maybe it's because, the last time you opened the door in your house, somebody fucking robbed you, or the last time, So yeah. I feel that only in Dade's Instagram page sometimes is too much of an authentic representation of my hometown.
It's too real.
It's too real. Yeah. That's probably the biggest difference, and I think that's probably my biggest challenge when I go back home is, I say hi to people, and people automatically look at you like you're fucking crazy, or you want something from them, or you're gonna stab them.
And it's coming from
Sometimes
LA.
all three.
It's a huge city, even bigger than Miami. So it's not like
It's way bigger.
You come from a small little town that everybody's like, hey, hello. You're coming from a big city as well. Because like here, the reason I ask that is because, I've been fortunate enough to have traveled a lot throughout the U.S., and I do think that Miami and L.A. are very similar.
Absolutely.
In like even infrastructure, it's very similar. So like I was telling him earlier today, we were driving through some random neighborhood, and I'm like, this feels like Miami. Like the houses are different. It's a little bit of a different architecture, but it feels like Miami, like the front yard. And then you always have that one neighbor with the overgrown weeds. And then you have another one that like the front yard is pristine. Like this feels very much like.
And even some of the architecture has like that Spanish vibe to it that, could be Coral Gables-y or,
Well, the thing is here, most everything is made out of wood, not concrete. So you'll see these multi-million-dollar houses being built, but they're being built out of wood because, wood has some give if there's an earthquake or you want in Florida, you want concrete because of the high velocity winds or whatever if you have a hurricane. So that's different in that sense. And we don't have as much rain here. So you'll see a lot more of the roofs that lend themselves to a place that doesn't have, that doesn't have a lot of rain.
Yeah.
But people here have a shit ton of leaks, which is really funny. Knock on wood, my house hasn't had a leak yet, but yeah. But people here, it's like it rains and they're like $1 million house and they got buckets like all over the house. Yeah.
Right, because it doesn't rain as much roofing and there is no hurricanes. Roofing isn't, because roofing in Miami is like a multi-million-dollar industry. Like, people que son techero are like rich. I'm like, damn, we entered
we're in the wrong industry.
Yeah, right.
Let's beat techeros,
They all look like Mr. T.
and
I can't deal with that much chapapote.
Yeah, me neither.
But driving, like, again, today I was like, I spent the whole day driving, and I'm like, like, yeah, I'm in LA. It's like Miami. It's like you know, to get, when you put something on the map, it's like, oh, that's 5 miles away. That doesn't really mean anything. It could be, you know.
Yeah, I will tell you here, I'll drive 5 miles and it doesn't feel very far. But if I'm driving from my dad's house in La Sahuacera and I have to get Bird Road and go west towards the Palmetto, it feels like a fucking eternity. And it's like 2 miles. And it takes 17 years. Like, it feels like the Palmetto will get finished by the time I make it to the Palmetto. It really does, man. And I feel like that's gotten progressively worse. Like, I'll be gone from Miami for 6 months. I go back and it feels like the traffic is worse. Yeah. And I'm not just referring to Brickell. I'm talking about Kendall, yeah.
But I appreciate that you are saying that because, when we say it, right, it's like, whatever, blah, 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 because we're seeing it every day. But you don't. So for you to say it, to me, it validates a little bit that
I'm baffled by it. I really am. Every time I'm like, God, wow.
Yeah.
It's like, Jesus.
Let me ask you something.
Yeah.
Living out here, do you often hear people say things about Miami or South Florida that's like grossly inaccurate? Like, that's not the way it is, like that you feel you have to say something. And if it is, what is it that you hear people say about South Florida that's like wrong?
Well, I mean, just start with sports. You will watch any broadcast on ESPN. They're like, from South Beach. And I'm like, no, dude, you're in fucking downtown Miami. Yeah. Like, you're nowhere near South Beach. You know what I mean? Stick your head out the window of the arena.
Technically in another city.
Yeah. Do you hear un tiroteo? You're not in South Beach. You know what I mean? Like, what? So that's usually it's like the geographical aspects of Miami. And then just like misrepresentations of my culture, Cuban culture, regardless of what it is, whether it's, the food, whether it's like so that's a pretty consistent conversation that I'll have. Yeah. And then, I've had my from time to time the Che Guevara conversation out here.
Oh my gosh, we could have it again. We've had it several times here.
Well, that's always a fun.
Not to beat
no, but we need to keep reminding
CIA
people,
murdered dead horse, but and fuck them. But you know what I mean? It's like I've had that happen out here. I've only now now I'm older and I'm a little bit more chill. But when I was younger and I was working at a hotel called The Standard. So I think there's one in Miami now. Yeah, there's one in Miami, but the OG one I worked at was here on the Sunset Strip, and which is crazy. It's haunted as fuck. Yeah. And
it was still open?
No, it closed. It closed towards the middle of the pandemic. Never reopened, and it's a former nursing home. And I'm telling you that, dude, I saw stuff in that place where, like the stuff you felt. The stuff you saw, people that worked there were like, I don't want to do room service at night in the hallways because the shit
let me tell you goes west, ghost stories.
But sorry, I went on a tangent.
We're doing a limited series next year with Eddie and hotel horror stories.
I'm working at the diner and there's this big fucking dude, and guy was lovely, real nice, and I was serving him, and I look, and on his forearm is a big ass like Che Guevara tattoo.
Oh boy.
Okay. That's a commitment. Yeah, a big one. And I didn't need anteojos to see it. It was like it was there. And he had this like gold Rolex watch. And I love watches. I'm into watches. Like I've always been.
I could tell.
Ever since I was a kid.
The moment I came in.
It's funny. And I remember just getting like fucking. I don't know. I just got irked. Like really irked. And then at one point, finally, no podía aguantar más. Like I was so nice. And I just, the Miami se me salió, right? And I can't recall what he asked for. And I was like, yes, no, you can have that, but your watch, it belongs to the people now. Is what I told him. And he goes, what? I go, your tattoo, your watch belongs to the people now. And the guy got up. Bro, this guy was a fucking wall, dude. And I'm like, oh shit, me voy a morir. Este tipo me va a matar aquí mismo.
You're about to die for your principles, son.
My principles. But then it actually turned into a conversation and a different understanding. And I can't even fathom how much of a dickhead you feel like when you don't know what you know.
I mean, maybe you don't remember exactly, but what did he say? Because somebody says like that belongs to the people. Obviously, you have to explain to him what it means. Did he communicate to you like what his perspective was, or why he? I mean, again, it's a tattoo.
Dude,
it's not even a t-shirt.
I remember getting so red, and I'm tan. For me, I don't get red, but you know what I mean. I was internally red, and my coworkers who know and knew me, if I remember correctly, somebody like inventó algo to get me out of there.
Wow.
To keep me kind of, but I don't remember. Yeah. It's It was probably at least like 17 years ago.
Oh, okay.
So
it's been a minute.
I've had that conversation with people as well, in similar but different scenarios. And I think it depends on the age. A lot of those conversations that I had were with people that were like college age, and they were all like, "Yo, bro, he's anti-establishment, anti, big corpse, and for the little guy." And I'm like, yeah, but he also killed, thousands of people. Was like really homophobic
and racist.
So
and
and so on and so and all these terrible things. So like. I don't know. Just say it.
Did they give you the omelet break a few eggs?
No.
Because I wouldn't be surprised from some folks.
I saw a lot of, especially when I was in school up in the Midwest, I saw a lot of your typical, you could tell, upper middle class white kids with a Che Guevara shirt, that want to be all like hard. And I'm like, bro, you don't even know what that means.
Yeah,
like,
they don't know.
The fact that the anti-capitalist Che Guevara is like the most capitalist, that is thing now on t-shirts and merch.
Revenge in a weird way.
Yeah.
Right? That somebody who is so like anti-establishment has become the establishment in a weird way.
Kind of great. Yeah.
There's a little like, Schadenfreude, right? Like yeah. I'm okay with that.
Going back to the whole Miami thing, and I'm glad that we're talking about it, especially now that you've had the exposure of living in the West Coast. A couple of weeks ago, and I talked about it here in the podcast, there was this video that went viral with Kid Fury on Vice TV. I think it was for a video podcast that they do, that he was saying to his co-host, she's like, "Oh, because you're from Florida." And he's like, "No, don't disrespect me like that. I'm from Miami." She's like, "Florida's, Miami's in Florida." And he's like, "No, Miami's Miami." And she kept pressing him. She's like, "Miami, Florida, United States." And he's like, "No, I'm not from Florida. I'm from Miami." And that sort of went viral, and I commented on it, and I said, obviously this is in jest, right? This is a joke.
Of course.
I said something like, "Hey, I'm really happy you corrected her because Miami is not Florida." And I got this barrage of people commenting on my comment. "Oh, you don't own a map. You failed geography. How can you not know that Miami?" First of all, it was a joke. And the fact that you don't realize that it was a joke is most of the problem. But you know what? Miami is not Florida. And I will argue that till like I will die on that hill. I will die on that hill. Miami is not Florida.
I'm with you on that. Yeah, Miami is definitely not Florida. And then when it comes to comments on the internet, I mean, I've gotten to a point where I had to like just go back in time and remember when you were in school back in the day when there wasn't social media, and you had that kid in class que era tremendo como mierda, and not only was he como mierda, he was just like tenía su cosa.
Well, and those kids have social media now.
Exactly. The kid that the teacher would just like stop and had no voice in school and whatever now feels like they can now get with other come mierdas and share their come mierdaness online. And they
just describe the internet.
Yeah, basically I did, and that turns into that level of sapingeria that you get comment-wise when you're making something in jest. And it's happened to me before on social media.
Yeah. Yeah.
A bunch.
And you know what upsets me about that is that, again, that was in jest, but I can assure you that most of those people have never, not even set foot in Florida, have never set foot in Miami, and don't know that, kind of like the haha, joke that we're talking about that really culturally is so different. That's like telling somebody from Quebec they're Canadian. Right. They're Quebecois. Right? They're yes, they are. Their nationality, technically and legally, is Canadian.
But that's you expecting the internet to understand nuance and context.
Right. Fair.
Right. Yeah, it's really your fault at the end of the day.
Where's the line drawn geographically for you? How far south are you no longer in Miami? Forget about what actual cities are, but how far south are you no longer, and how far north are you no longer in Miami? Within that realm of this context.
Okay, south, I would say Homestead is, not Miami.
Okay. See, I used to say that, but I feel like now with all because the homes, that's where people have been able to afford them. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of been that sprawl.
Okay.
So normally I would
maybe
say
not
yes.
past the racetrack?
Let's say the racetrack is kind of the...
Well, NASCAR is what turns it
exit
down.
Exit 2, not exit 1.
And
like one Confederate flag and you're like, we're not Miami.
We're done.
Black Point Marina is pretty Miami.
Yeah, I think so.
Miami. As far in terms of north, North is hard because then you have Hialeah, which is
Yeah,
pretty north.
right.
But then you have other pockets that are more
Like, do we consider Aventura Miami or
No,
not?
Aventura is not Miami.
Okay. Really?
Avent-
Not even with all the like South American folks with money that live up there? Because every time I feel like I walk through Aventura Mall, I feel like you see more fake boobs than tootsies.
That's
you know
what-
what I mean? It's like,
See, but I think Aventura Mall.
That's where they get them
And
now.
listeners, we're going really in deep here.
Yeah,
I think
sorry.
Aventura Mall has like a very different feeling than even Dadeland Mall.
oh no, yeah, absolutely.
You know, and Dadeland Mall's a
Y ni
really
hablar de Bal
nice
Harbor.
mall, right?
Yeah.
Well, but Bal Harbor's a different enclave. That's
Yeah.
like, you know, but even Dadeland has like that Miami feel to it. I mean, it has a chicken kitchen in the food court. You know? Which I don't know if Aventura does. Maybe it does. But I feel when I go to Aventura, because I have to go on I-95, I'm like, okay, I traveled somewhere. I'm like, even though geographically it's not that far,
It's closer to Broward than not.
it's more Broward adjacent
Okay.
than Dade. I don't know. What do you think?
No, I'm kind of the same, and mind you, obviously I haven't lived there in a long enough time, but I feel like Miami's non literal city line has expanded a little bit from when I lived there. But yeah, I'm with you, and I haven't been to Homestead in a minute, so I can't speak. But
My sister lives on there.
yeah,
that's
so
why,
like, you know, back in the day, Homestead for me was
Mucho reparto.
mucho reparto.
Era
Yeah.
campo.
It was puro
It was
campo.
campo,
Yeah,
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 yeah.
I used to play, you know, baseball down there and like the sports complex, and dude, it felt like you were driving for an eternity and you saw nothing.
I used to feel the same way. Now
Yeah.
I go there like every other month to,
Yeah.
to see my sister and the kids. So it's like
Every other month, you're a shitty brother.
I am.
Like
That's
every other
but in
month.
my defense, that's because I got 3 nephews that are always playing baseball,
Okay,
so
fair.
they're never
All right.
home.
Yeah, whatever.
They're never home. All right.
That's like I always give him. I
struck a chord.
I sort of give him shit. I don't say anything, but I give him shit when people ask him, "Oh, where are you from?" He's like, "Oh, I'm in Coral Gables," and I'm like, "No, you're not. You're from Westchester. Like, what are you talking about?" He does live in-
I'm from Westchester, but I live in the Gables.
Right. I know. But it was sort of like I lived many years in downtown. I lived in a high rise. And I have to tell you that I always struggled when people, obviously in Miami, would ask me where I lived to not say like Kendall, Westchester, right?
Yeah.
Because I would say, no, I live downtown. But then, I don't know, you're going to think that I'm, you know, all those like mind tricks go, but you're going to think I'm from there, but I'm not from there, but I live there. You know, like the whole like, why does this even matter?
Well,
Like,
Miami has that geographical caste system that we all are like.
Really does.
It does, yeah, it does. If you look at the
really
map and
does.
it's just like, you know,
Does that exist out here?
of course, yeah, absolutely. Of course it exists out here. But I don't know if now because of the city being so big and the level of gentrification out here, it's not the same as it was when I first moved here. You know, there's a neighborhood which I love called Highland Park, and Highland Park when I first moved to LA was shady. You know, you would go to Highland Park, and I remember I had friends from Miami that went to high school with me that had a condo in Highland Park, and I went to go visit them, and they were, you know, they said to me, quite literally, when you park, you call us and you walk straight from the car to the front door.
Right.
Now Highland Park is like Hipsterville, and it's great. Like it's, you know, it's what, there's an area here called Silver Lake. It's what Silver Lake was when I moved to Los Angeles. Now Silver Lake has gotten a little bit more bougie, but so yeah, no, there's, you know, your Beverly Hills, your Brentwoods, that kind of thing. The only thing I would say about here, because it's such a much larger city in scale, I would almost say like Miami is, let's say, Disneyland in the sense where it's smaller.
Right.
This is
We
Disney
switch.
World. Los Angeles is Disney World. The way it's spread out, it's huge. And so there are more pockets that are affluent.
Right.
You know, in Miami you would say, oh, Coco Plum, or you would say Pinecrest, or, you know, or areas in Coral Gables, and that was kind of it.
Right.
Yeah.
Here, no, you've got fucking San Marino, Beverly Hills, Brentwood, Westwood. It's like, no matter where you go, there's gonna be a $40 million house.
Right.
Yeah.
I feel I learned a lot about neighborhoods and places in California and LA from California Love by Tupac.
Oh, yeah.
Pasadena, where you at? Englewood always up to no good.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, Tupac. Little did we know he was our geography teacher.
Tupac was the Rand McNally of hip hop. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
he was ahead of his time. He was.
He was ahead of his time. He was absolutely ahead of his time. Oh Lord. So I want to switch gears a little bit. We've been talking a lot about, like, you know, Miami, LA, and all this, but I just wanted to bring something up because we're all the same age. We all kind of grew up the same, you know, era and everything. And I just saw the other day that, you know, CNN's been doing all these like docuseries on the 70s, the 80s, etc. And whatever. They're doing one now in the 2010s.
Okay.
Is
it too soon?
Is it
A
too
little bit.
soon? Like I feel like,
But I will say
like,
this.
it's
though.
only been like what 3 years.
But
removed?
I will say
pretty
this.
much.
It has. But I remember the year exactly. It was 2004. VH1 doing I Love the 90s.
Oh yeah,
And it was
I used to love that
2004.
shit.
That was 2004.
It was 2004.
Yeah, yes.
'Cause I remember I was in law school.
Yeah, I was working for Telemundo, and I remember we used to I used to.
That I
used to-
remember
yeah.
there was even a commercial with Eta, the blonde girl that was that she was in Suits.
Rachel Harris.
Yes, that she would even go up to one of them. She's like, "Is it too soon?" Right? Because that only been 3-4
right.
years.
I even
But
remember the jingle.
I
love the
90s.
90s.
Oh, the
and then they
80s.
did Strikes Back.
Yeah,
Strikes
Strikes
Back. Yeah.
My favorite.
This is why I brought it up, because we are
My
all the same
favorite
age, and I knew this
was-
one
I
so
miss
well.
VH1 when it was still good.
was in the 80s, the year they were talking about.
As we're using your Prince coasters.
The year they were talking about Eta, Tina Turner and her comeback with What's Love Got to Do with It.
with Lonely Love.
Yeah. That she's like, "What's love got to do?" She's like, "Go ahead, Tina." I loved that part. I love that part.
She is wonderful. I don't know. I just saw it and I was like, a part of me, it just ties back to a lot of things like that. Actually, you and I have talked about, which is, ooh, yay, being topped off. Woohoo!
Okay, so what does this have in it again? Because it's pretty amazing. Other stuff, proprietary information, people.
I was just gonna say that just means you don't ask. No pregunte, because
Está rico.
Está rico. No pregunte
Está
lo que.
rico.
But no. Where I was going with this was, obviously, is it too soon? But also, you and I have talked about this. That again, to bring this up, we're sitting here, using coasters that have Prince on it. We talked about Purple Rain. There's a certain collective pop culture understanding. Do you think that even happened in the 2010s? In the way that, like, because like you said, the 90s was in 2004, they did I Love the 90s, but there was still that monoculture.
Right, but I think it's
I don't
different.
think so.
Because something that we talk about now, and we've talked about a bunch of times in the show, is that now there's so much content that people don't have shared experiences.
Right? Yeah, when there's no line in the sand anymore. It felt like before there was a line in the sand between the 80s and the 90s, and even the flip to 2000. But the minute we got smartphones, the minute YouTube, the minute
everything was streaming,
everything is kind of blurred.
Yeah, and look, for example, a few years ago when like Game of Thrones was in its peak, and I remember that it was ending, so many people saw that show. And I remember thinking, I think you and I discussed this. This is one of the only shows in the last few years where, whether you watched it or not, or liked it or not, that a lot of people were watching, and we were having water cooler moments. Because remember when we were in school, that the next day people would be like, "Yo, did you watch? Who's the boss? Like, did you watch?
Growing Pains
Family
or
Matters?
Alf.
Like,
Alf, yes.
all that.
Actually, that's
right?
perfect.
I
one,
love
yeah.
Alf. Yeah,
But now that doesn't happen because of the amount of content. And what I think is probably what that sort of turned into is that I think that people are going to look back and think of viral moments. Because, for example, I think that if I were to do I Love the 2010s, you know what I would include there? The Bed Intruder song. Remember?
They're snatching everybody up in
here. Trying to rape you, so you better.
Oh my God, what's his
how's
name?
it go? Grab your kids,
Trayvon.
grab your wife because they're raping her. Do you remember that?
no idea.
The
what you're
guy
talking
that was like, the guy that was like,
Sorry. Usually I do improv. Yes,
But
no,
thank
I
you
have
for
no
proving
idea.
our point, right?
I'm
No
like, I have
monoculture.
idea what that
and
is.
then and then Sweet Brown with
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Ain't nobody got time.
Oh,
for
yeah, I remember that.
Right.
Yeah,
Ain't nobody
of
got
course.
time. This one was like the.
Hide your kids.
Right, yeah,
Hide
that
your
was
kids and hide your wife
hide
is the
your-
one I'm talking about.
right.
Yeah. Hide your kids because they're raping everybody out. You don't have to call and confess. We looking for you. We gonna find you.
We're gonna find you.
So you can that one. Well,
Go
anyway.
run tell that.
Hey, homeboy. Anyway, look it up. Bed Intruder song, people. That went viral, and the people who remixed it even did an iTunes song, and like the proceeds of the download went to the guy who came out on the news. So I think it's gonna be stuff like that, or like memes, because kids are so into memes now. Like my kid is into Rickrolling people.
Okay.
So, which is great because I'm like, okay, now you're learning about Rick Astley, which totally, I'm okay with that. But I think it's going to be like memes. Like people are going to think like, oh, remember that moment that one.
Have you shown him the Foo Fighters? Rick rolling the I don't know. I can't remember the West something Baptist Church. Those people,
Westboro?
Westboro. Have you seen the video of the Foo Fighters
but that
Rick
must have
rolling
been
them?
awesome.
They were protesting outside a Foo Fighters show, and they
Because
pulled
why
up in a
not, right?
flatbed, the full band playing.
Just
Never gonna
showed
give
up
you
to
up.
drown him out.
Oh yeah, and they're just like playing the drums, and everybody's like having a blast. and they rickrolled that.
¿Qué quieren esa gente?
Yeah.
Hey, they protest everything. It's like, picks one thing. Just protest one thing. They showed up to everything.
But but back to that, like, Ish and I have said that talked about that before. Like, sometimes I'll see a show that'll be like, oh, on its 5th season, and I'm like, I didn't even know this show had 5 seasons.
Yeah, right.
Like, whereas before, especially a show that ran for so many seasons, whether you watched it or not, you knew it. I knew what was it, L.A. Law? Like, I don't remember, or like what's stuff that we didn't watch.
Knots Landing.
Knots Landing.
I used to watch that with my mom. Yeah.
Like, who?
Okay,
Falcon Crest.
But I know they exist.
Yeah,
I never watched one episode, but I know that they were a thing.
But I think that goes with the bigger conversation which we've had here. That, like, I remember when we were, again, we're the same age, so we went through like similar things. I remember being in high school and knowing who like the Beatles were, and knowing, even if I didn't know all their songs, but knowing about them, knowing
they existed. That they were prolific. That
Sinatra, Sammy Davis Jr.,
the Rolling Stones.
Yeah.
Like, I knew who Mick Jagger was. Even again, if I didn't know the whole, like,
for some reason, you know who Bernadette Peters is.
And no, I don't do Broadway. But
what did she do? Like Briars or Yo Play? I can't
It
remember.
was Briars.
It was Briars.
It must be for that.
It was
It
Briars.
must be for that.
Yeah.
But anyway, but I think that the difference is that kids now don't. Mira, the other day, we were at one of our Ping Pong Pollo pop-ups, and my niece went, and her boyfriend was there. And
How old?
15. Okay. So my brother is a huge George Michael fan. Enormous, huge. He went to see him in London and everything, because he's like, no, I want to see George Michael in London.
I think the only person who was a bigger fan of George Michael than your brother was George Michael.
Yeah,
that's fair.
So yeah.
So he gave the kid a task that he had to learn 10 George Michael songs.
That's kind of
because
awesome.
the kid didn't know any. And then when he was there, remember, we started asking him, okay, do you know any Madonna songs? Do you know any, like, we started shooting off big names, and he's like, no. And I'm like, but how? Like, how?
I mean, I think it's almost the same when maybe people heard Gwen Stefani, It's My Life, and didn't know Talk Talk existed, and that's the original version of that song. Mm-hmm. And these are people that are even I would say even almost a generation younger, because I don't know, that song probably came out in the 08, 09, like somewhere in that in that realm. I don't know. Is it that same thing?
But it's one thing to not know a cover. And it's another thing to like just be like, I have no idea who this person who has sold a gajillion albums.
Well, so to be fair, I'm the same, but in the opposite. Somebody was mentioning to me, I forgot what they mentioned the name Maruka, and I go, I have no fucking clue who that is, and I'm really grateful that I don't know who this person is. And it was like,
why are you grateful you don't know who this is? I want to unpack this,
dude. Well, it's just like there's a lot of shit music out there that I'm so glad I don't know who the people are. Just because they're popular to me doesn't mean that they're good.
That's usually the case.
And I can appreciate cultural impact of music. I get it, but there's still a lot of shit that I don't like. When legendary jazz performer Bobby McFerrin's most successful song is "Don't Worry, Be Happy," and that's the shittiest fucking song that guy ever did. That's just you have to be okay with it.
But again, you have to remember.
Didn't Bobby McFerrin do Ocean Spray commercials?
But it's also that's also about the whole thing of like, to have a hit, you have to be all things to all people, which kind of means that then you're almost nothing to no one, right? Like, because you can't be you almost can't be successful. It's very rare to be successful. Let me rephrase that. Being very unique and specific to you, because at a certain point, if you want to reach the masses, at least back in our day. You kind of had to figure out how to navigate and appeal to you, to me, to mom, to grandma, to to all age groups. Whereas I think now, kind of to what you're saying, you can be very successful because you appeal to these 10,000 people and they will buy everything you have, and that's it. And you don't have to go to the label. You don't have to, you can self-publish. You can do it all on your own.
What's the current version in society of the 80s ballad? When I'm referring, because that was the formula, right? Whether it was Cheap Trick. No, I Want You to Want Me, Sedated, those weren't the songs, or sorry, the Sedated is, it's the Ramones. But their song was The Flame. Mm-hmm. Okay, their fucking love rock ballad. The Bangles, Eternal Flame was their big one. Fucking Chrissy Hynde of the Pretenders, I'll Stand By You is the big, so it's that. So what's that now? For people, is there something?
I don't know the last time a ballad was
together.
But what is the formula now?
The only person I can think of that does anything remotely similar and is not similar is Adele.
Yeah,
Adele has gut-wrenching power ballads, if you will. Because like when you mention all those songs, I also think of ballads like more like mid to late 80s with like the saxophone and all that. And that doesn't really. I mean, every once in a while, like right now, there's a song called "Let Me See You're Beautiful." It's your chance to shine. It has a little bit of traction, and I've heard it on the radio a few times, and I'm like, wow, this song is like a ballad. It's a piano ballad, and it's being played on Y100 or Z100, depending where you're at.
K-Rock over here.
So no, I don't know, but you know, the kids are into Bad Bunny.
Well, so is it what, like the more rachetero the lyrics are? Like, because, you know, trust me, like music from my, you know, my youth was just as ratchet, but you had to really pay attention to the lyrics, you know.
Well,
they were trying.
They were like, you know, listen to any salsa song from the 80s, and they're like,
that's
they're like
so
porn.
funny you say that.
Yeah.
Have you like stopped to read the lyrics of Devórame otra vez?
Oh, that's where I was. Yeah, Devour Me Again.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, it's right there in the title.
And actually, the other day I was listening to a song because I put it on the. Well, you have a Tesla on that Tesla streaming service our cars have, and you remember that guy?
I drive
Alvaro,
a Corolla. Okay, let's get this correct.
Okay,
I'm kidding.
Okay. Hey, you remember that guy Alvaro Torres?
Alvaro Torres, no.
He was like a big pop singer in the 80s and the 80s and early 90s. He even had a song with Selena. And he was like this very conservative man with like, you know, a suit and all that. And he sung these power ballads. And the other day I was listening to one and I'm like, oh my God, he's talking something like quiero beber en el mar de tu cuerpo y saborear tu agua otra vez. And I'm like, oh my God. Like,
yeah. That's the shit we can get away in Spanish, you know. And then in the 80s, you had like Timmy T with One More Try, which is like the fucking lamest lyrics. One more try, I didn't know how much I loved you. And you're like, okay, you can't say anything vile with this guy.
And yet now I want to hear the song
Oh, it's
on a
great.
loop for at least 20 minutes.
Absolutely.
Like, yeah, because I've totally forgot that
Once
song
we get
existed.
in my Corolla, we'll play it on a loop in the streaming service.
We'll put on our Z Cavariccis, and then we'll go.
oh, nice.
Oh, yeah.
From Lorraine Designers.
Oof.
They're
Ooh, I haven't heard that one in a while. Ooh. Yeah. Yeah. I still remember my first pair. I was so excited, dude.
Oh my gosh!
I think I got mine at the Ring Designer.
I
So
don't remember where I got. I think
my
it was
parents
Overdine's.
did not want to buy me Z Cavaricci because they were expensive. They were like $75 and up.
They were, dude.
They were expensive, and you know I was much younger. We were like 10 years old when they were really in. But my brother, who's 7 years older than me, had a pair, and I remember one day getting ready for school. I took his pants and I put them in my book bag, and when I got to school I put them on over my pants. Now mind you, my brother was like at the time 17, 18 and I was 10, so they were a little bit big on me, just a little bit, but somehow I made it work and I wore my Z Cavariccis to school.
Now I want to go on eBay and find a pair and see if I can fucking fit into those things, man. I want to find a pair in my current size.
I don't know if I could get them over
if you could
the
find
waist.
the classic, because there were a couple of designs, but I feel the classic Z Cavaricci was the one that had like a flap that would
Yeah, I had
curve down
a
and-
black pair of those. Yeah, the one pair I ever had.
But those were the ones that but it kind of came up like almost like a girdle.
And
right?
listeners, if you know what
yeah.
Z Cavariccis are, then you're our age.
Yes.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah, empty hammer pants for people who didn't have empty hammer pants.
That's something that hasn't come back. Z Cavaricci.
Give it time. Give it
You
time.
know, I remember Love's.
Like everything has come back,
You know
but that
where it's a place that you could find Z Cavariccis today?
Goodwill?
No, Saved by the Bell. Slater loved his Z Cavariccis.
yeah.
They were always stonewashed.
And it was funny because it wasn't Zach, it was Slater. Like that place.
That's right. He always had his Z Cavariccis on.
Well, because Slater was the dancer.
And Z Cavariccis were for dancers.
I don't know. It doesn't seem like something a non-dancer would wear.
Okay, I guess.
He needs a little bit more give.
Well, I mean, he was on Dancing with the Stars, so he was
yeah.
really kind of
Yes. Yes,
know, foreshadowing his,
And well, we can go before that. He was on Kids Incorporated as one of the dancers.
And he was a boxer on the Golden Girls.
No, he was an illegal immigrant in the Golden Girls.
But wasn't he a boxer?
No.
Somebody boxed it in the
The
Golden
boxer
Girls.
was the guy who then also played Enrique Mas on the
Oh,
Golden
yeah, I
Girls.
don't remember. Yeah.
Yes, that he was a Cuban boxer. That he was also trying out for Juilliard and also a violinist. Why do I remember this? I can't do algebra. This I have back of my hand.
Yeah. Anyway,
This is my life.
Let's go back to LA.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
Where we're at
Jump
now.
back.
Let's these are LA episodes. So what are some of your favorite things about LA?
The weather. Even
Yes.
not today, but the weather here is probably
even
my
today that it's overcast.
Yeah,
I
even
feel
today
like we
that
should
it's
apologize
overcast.
for the bad weather today, you and I.
Yeah.
Huh?
I feel like we brought the bad weather. I feel like we should apologize to you
No, I'd
for
say
bringing the
the
weather.
best thing is the lack of humidity. Just I go back home the minute I get out of the plane and I feel the humidity. I'm like, oh fuck my life. It's just and I love it. It's nice for like 2 seconds and then I'm like, oh yeah. I'm gonna sweat from the front of Miami International Airport to Yosmani's Uber that I'm
Yes.
about to walk into.
Yes.
The terminals, the outside of MIA, I think has extra humidity.
It feels like it, right? It's like it
I feel like they
holds
pump
it
it
in.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
They pump
Like
it
the way
in.
the way
Like
the oxygen
in Vegas.
Humidity is such a problem. Like it really is. Like siempre estás sudando. Like it's like, oh my god. But yeah, the weather here really is.
Yeah, and I think also just the proximity to do stuff. So I like the beach in Florida, as far as the United States is concerned. Let's not not Hawaii, but continental United States is the best. Like the beach in LA, I think the beach in LA is beautiful. The rocks, like it's gorgeous, but it's fucking freezing. So when people tell me they want to live by the beach, I could not care less. I don't want to live by the beach here. I have
You're
zero
almost reciting
interest.
exactly what he says.
It's verbatim.
Yeah.
Because I say that all the time. I'm like, the beaches in California, scenic wise,
It's stunning.
are beautiful.
Go to Big Sur. It's one of the most beautiful places you will ever go to.
You could be there hours just marveling at how beautiful they are. Pero el agua no sirve.
No, it's brutal. It's
El agua no
super cold.
sirve.
Yeah.
I remember one of the first times. Actually, I think it was the first time I went to California was to San Diego, and I went in the middle of July, and it was hot for San Diego. And I remember being so excited, and I was like jumping, running into the beach, and when I was like waist high, I was like, oh my god! I was like,
Oh, it's
this
really
is
cold.
freezing, and it was July. I agree. I think that Miami Beach, and it's not that I'm biased in terms of the quality of the beach. Exactly, not counting Hawaii, is the
And
most
not
beautiful.
counting the U.S. Virgin Islands.
Yeah, is the,
those.
It's the most beautiful. Since I don't know geography, it is the most beautiful beach in the continental United States. Continental, not.
Let's say Ocean Beach.
Yes,
Because there's a place in Michigan called Mackinac Island.
Yes.
Where
we
the
love
water
Mackinac.
looks like it's Bora Bora. Mind you, it's freezing, but it's like it's stunning.
it's beautiful.
We have
Yeah.
jumped into the waters of Mackinac.
Mackinac, yes.
Oh wow, bravo.
Yes. And I jumped into the waters of Mackinac, and the moment you're like, oh, this is not salt water. The buoyancy is different.
Yeah.
Like swimming from here to here is like.
Yo me cansé.
Yeah.
Have you jumped in?
No. But I'm thinking of when I jumped in the Dead Sea last summer, how you like bounce out of it.
Right.
It's
Oh, you went to the Dead Sea?
Yeah.
Oh, did you do the whole newspaper or reading magazine thing?
Yes. No. What did I have? I had wine bottles, and we were like pouring wine in the Dead Sea.
Yeah,
which was fun.
That must be like an amazing experience.
Life changing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would
Like
love to go there.
you can't explain it to people. Just the way your skin feels when you get out of the water there because of the salt, right?
Yeah.
The hot, like it's
You did
it's
the whole
wild.
mud thing.
I did the mud thing. When you're driving by the Dead Sea, what looks like white caps, as if you were looking at the ocean, it's not. It's just salt.
Yeah.
So it's like you're stepping on glass or hitting glass with your feet. If you walk in wrong, because the whole bottom is, or there's sections of the bottom that aren't sand, it's like rocks of salt. And imagine cutting yourself in the Dead Sea too. No te rasco un ojo, ni el culo, ni nada, right? Because it's gonna burn.
If you have a paper cut, oh
Yeah.
my god.
Yeah. But anyway, sorry. And I to back to LA is one thing that I didn't know, right? Living in Florida, growing up in Florida, I didn't know how much I would eventually fall in love with wine. Mm-hmm. And living out here, just the fact that I can drive in an hour in almost any direction, and there's wineries and vineyards, and like the land here kind of it thrives here to grow grapes and stuff. Agriculturally, that's one thing that I love here. The produce here, I'm sorry, it is the best. When chefs that I know will come from Florida, or they'll come from New York even, which has great markets, but you go to the market here, go to the farmer's market, like the vegetables and stuff, the flavor's different. Really? Yeah, the agriculture, that's one thing about this, and I didn't know. I didn't know until I'm out here. Yeah. I didn't know that an avocado was actually supposed to taste much better than our big ass fucking Caribbean avocados that we're used to.
Yeah, to me,
But give me the big avocado.
No, to me it's a Haas.
Yeah, it's a flavor thing because I love it reminds me of home.
I just wanted for value.
The good thing is if you had the Haas one in Miami, nobody would steal it because they're like, estos aguacaticos son una mierda. Yeah. Nobody's gonna jump the fence to steal your avocados.
Strategic.
Yeah.
Like it.
That's I always say that's like such a Miami thing when you have that one coworker And if you live somewhere else, you wouldn't get it. When you have the Miami coworker that has either an avocado plant or a mango plant, that you know when it's in season, you have that coworker that comes with the Sedano's bags. Mira, mijita, uno aguacate para ti, uno para ti, and everybody, you get an aguacate, and you get an aguacate.
They turn into Oprah.
Even
Trans
people,
fat Oprah.
even people that that you don't even like that much in the office, you still give them, su javita de aguacate.
So damn much of it.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's ridiculous.
and, and I feel California also has like its own cuisine. I remember one time I was talking to a friend, and I'm like, oh, California cuisine. He was like, what is California cuisine? And I'm like, I don't know. I can't explain it. I know it when I see it. I just know it has avocado. Like,
Yeah, I mean, yes, that's fair. That's a super fair assessment to see that. But it's really like just the fresh ingredients and stuff that's relatively, I hate that, like the douchey ass term of local, but it is,
and a nice vinaigrette.
Yeah, pretty much, right?
Not a heavy blue cheese dressing.
I think the greatest thing ever was the SNL sketch, The Californians.
I loved it.
It's so accurate.
I never got that.
Oh, when you meet people here, they will tell you how they got from where they were coming from to you. That they did this, and then they tell, oh, you find out where they work, and I go, oh, how do you get home? Oh, I go this way, and I go over the hill that way. I go, you want to try this one? Oh shit, and that turns into that. Minus the Bill Hader accent, but it's really like it's
I love
it's
the
so
Californians.
accurate.
I never got that sketch.
What? Well, yeah.
I didn't. I felt it was very regional. Like
It is.
It's one of those. If you get it,
Well,
you're
it's
from
kind of
there.
like how many people would feel the same way about when what's her face Anna
Mi prima.
when they did the show the other day. How many people would be like, well, this tire sketch was regional. I have no idea what the fuck they're talking about in the Spanish class.
But
you
didn't you love it?
I did.
was
Yeah.
great.
No, I loved it. It was great.
So it worked. Screw the rest of the people.
It was great. Not, and you don't live around so many people whose name starts with a Y.
That's except for my wife, who's Generation Y. My Marielita wife, with her Generation Y name. That's pretty much it.
I mean, yeah, she was born in Cuba, right?
Yeah.
Because now in Miami, it's like a creative thing almost. It's like, how creative can we get with the Y? Because now I've also noticed is that they'll have like more traditional names with a Y, like Yennefer.
Oh yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
What's the other one? Junior.
Junior, right? I'm like, if you
And
only,
he's not a junior.
I'm like, if you only knew that Junior, even with a J, is not really a name. But we're not gonna go there.
Yeah, I'll just say a friend of mine deals with clients who are in that Y name background, and without saying too much, he loves to send me the names on his appointments because he's like, do you think this person, whatever, and then it'll be like Yoasnasis. Oh, that was the best one that I got recently.
Yoasnasis.
Yeah, is it like Onassis? Did something like what? Who came up with that?
So
Yoasnasis.
we have a friend that
So I gotta mull that one over.
she had I don't know if it was a coworker or like a consultant that came to her office, whatever, but somebody that she dealt with at work, that his name was Onedoyar.
Holy fuck. Oh my God, send that guy to Amish country. Please, that's a fucking reality show.
I'm like, Onedoyar. I'm like, and she's like,
I want to see him churning butter.
She's like, she said that when he would say Onedoyar, she didn't think about it, but when he spelled his name, she's like, oh my God, it's $1. Like,
Onedoyar, oh my shit. Oh, fuck.
it's $1, Onedoyar. And I'm like,
Imagine being at the 99-cent store and pregnant and inspired by the fucking Tupperware you almost bought for Onedoyar.
I think it was a cousin of my sister-in-law this was years ago. This was an OG that I remember their name was Everybody. So I was just like, oh my God, this girl is of school age. So like when they start school, when they say everybody come here, no, not everybody. Just, Yeah.
I hope she had a nice nickname.
I don't know if she did.
Evie. So,
I don't know if she did. But Onedoyar is pretty good, yeah. And then, there's the classics like Umail, U.S. Mail, Unavi, U.S. Navy.
Yeah. Yeah, those are, I had a Unavi. I had a Unavi that I played baseball with.
Really?
I had a Yosmani was a really popular one at our age.
Yosmani, yeah. That one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We all had a Yosmani that played shortstop in in Little League.
To the people that say that Miami is Florida, how many people outside of Miami are named Uthnavi?
Yeah, right.
There ain't none
Seriously.
of those in that Floribama coast area.
No. That must be the most, like, the worst and the most entertaining job in Florida in Miami, is to work at the DMV. To see the fucking names that come through that place must be amazing.
I wonder if there's ever a moment where they just have no more spaces. Like it's just too many S's, L's, and I's. Like they just have to stop at a certain point.
Yeah, aren't you kind of glad that at least we're not, I don't know, like Polish or Eastern European? Because imagine that long name plus all the name with all the consonants at the end.
Yeah.
Like that would be like a whole alphabet of a name.
Yeah, that's too many.
Like Manaskarovich or like it's,
Yeah.
No.
No.
Not doing it. I'd change my
They're
name.
just running out of the Y at like, when
I'd
you
be,
buy letters.
I'd be like, no, we're good, thank you.
You know, it'd be great, like
Bob.
to go to like, the Michaels. They all have all the letters where you could do different crafts with them. It'll be interesting to go to like the Michaels in Hialeah versus like the Michaels in like Coral Gables.
Yeah.
And see how much Y's like.
Oh, there's a shortage of Y's.
There's a shortage of Y's
absolutely.
in the Michaels in Hialeah.
Yeah.
or there's just a whole bin of Y's.
They have the Y
bestseller.
the Y
The Y
aisle. Every font imaginable of Y. Every font, lowercase, uppercase,
Cursive.
Forget me.
How did we like corner the market in Y names?
I have no idea.
Like I always thought it was the Russian influence in like I have a cousin whose name is Michael, but it's spelled like in Russian Michael, Maykel.
Michael.
Yeah,
Right.
And I was like, okay, is it that Soviet influence?
Yeah.
I think it's a little bit of that. It's probably a little bit of that. I also think it's just it's there's a little bit of a pronunciation thing. So like a lot of it is the J in Spanish is Jota. So it would be, instead of Julie, it would be Juli. Well, that's not a name.
Right.
So it'd be Julie, but the J doesn't really exist. So it's Yuli. And so they kind of,
but I don't-
there's like factors.
I don't even think it's that because. Look, even in American culture, there's certain names that
There was also the whole
resonate.
time that you couldn't have an American quote unquote name.
But
in
there's
Cuba.
certain names that resonate at certain times. Like I remember a couple of years ago, I went to my nephew's graduation, and I kid you not, every other kid was Matthew or Sebastian, and this was in 2021, so these kids were about 18, so they were probably born. Well, my nephew was born. This was in 2019. Shit, but now the pandemic years are a blur. So these kids were born in like 2000, 2001, and they're all named Sebastian and Matthew. And Sebastian, I thought because of Cruel Intentions.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But so there's certain names that are popular, but I feel that the Y thing with Cubans, why? Why?
Yeah. Like the only
why?
Y name I could think of that would have translated over from Russian culture was like Yuri.
Yeah.
Because I know a lot of Yuris. Mm-hmm. But
Sure.
that's the only one I could think of.
No, and there were a lot of Cubans that had, like, how many Cubans have you met que son Vladimir?
Yeah,
You know,
right.
There
Sure.
were some authentic Russian names that really did, but that's even of another generation. That's
True.
not even so much now. Or there are people in Cuba that are named that. It's after, like, their parents, right? But the whole Y thing now,
Isn't that how you know when a baseball player is Cuban? Even if you don't know, like it doesn't matter which team. When you see the name, Yasiel,
Yeah.
and it's
It's
a very,
say-
and it's a very
Oh my God.
specific Cuban thing because not even
it's my
Dominicans
family.
or Puerto Ricans have it. Not even them.
yeah.
It's like uniquely.
Yeah, it's not
Cuban.
Caribbean.
It's uniquely Cuban because there's a lot of things we overlap in with Dominicans and Puerto Ricans, but
Yeah.
not the Yunavi.
No.
No.
We're just really matter of the moment. We're like, you know what? I can't figure out what am I going to name it. Oh, there's a boat right there. Unavi. You know what I mean? It's like, I got to resolver. Like, we got to go. We got to move.
Yeah.
Me acaba de llegar un cheque de los Estados Unidos. Onedoyad.
Onedoyad.
Yeah.
Maybe Tresurari, Treasury, U.S. Treasury. You like
Treasuri. Oh, this is a fun game now. Trying to think of what other random ass words could turn into names.
Yeah. It's crazy. It really, really is. But, anyway.
Certain, I'm like thinking of all the shit that I didn't realize were American names growing up, but we just pronounce like Frigidaire is a Frigidaire.
Oh, yeah.
And as
Yeah.
a child, I was like, and then I remember the day I saw a refrigerator that said Frigidaire on it, and I was like, oh,
Yes, sir.
Do you know what was the biggest, it was an epiphany moment for me that the day I realized that, it was like in a movie that
Vicks Vapor Rub was the one for me, the
the-
first one.
Really?
Yeah.
that the lights came on and I went, oh, and the heavens opened up and I had a moment at Home Depot. I always thought that what you put on the walls is chirro. Chiro. Chirro. Because in Spanish, you even say it with a ch.
Chirro.
You don't say
chirro.
You don't say chirro. You say chirro. So I thought that in Spanish it was chiro. And one random day, I'm at Home Depot, and you know how the wall panels on the side have the brand, and it says Sheet Rock, and I was like, Sheet Rock. I was like, Sheet Rock. Shiro. I was like, oh my God. I was like, everything blurred up. The heavens opened up. And I was like, Sheet Rock is Chiro. That's like, I grew up with hearing my parents saying, no, porque hay que poner dinero en el proficien. En el proficien. And then I was like, being older and being like, are they talking about profit share?
Yeah.
We grew up so screwed up.
Yeah.
How did we make it this far?
Or they call the detergent is fa
What?
because that's fab.
Oh, fab.
Fa.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
El fa.
Yeah, fa. I grew up with fa.
Yeah. Which one else? In Cuba, they had a lot of what's the brand? El Oster brand.
Oyster or
The Oster, the
blender?
The blender. Yeah. Y Electrolux. Es una marca muy buena, es Electrolux.
Well, no, yeah, Electrolux was a great brand in 1954. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Kelly Ripa used to be the spokesperson for it, so you know.
Yeah, but that was like the first 2 years of live.
Yeah.
Like, just,
No, actually, Electrolux is pretty nice.
do they still make Electrolux?
Yeah, they actually do, and they're usually very high end.
Okay, well, this segment brought to you by Electrolux.
Like you don't get them at Brand Smart.
No?
No.
Does that place still exist?
Yes.
Brand Smart?
They will never go away.
Wow. I remember, I miss Incredible Universe. I loved that stupid store. I loved it because I could go and ask for a PlayStation game and they would let me play it before I bought the fucking game. Not a great business model.
I don't think I ever bought a damn thing there, but went there a lot. Similar to you, like just could go browse and have fun.
Yeah.
I realize that Brand Smart is cheap and you could get really good deals on things, but I can't. First of all, the fluorescent lighting in there, just walking in is like, I feel like I'm in like a lab. And just, it's so many people and todo el mundo correteando. I'm like, no. I'll go to Best Buy. Thank you.
And then order it on Amazon.
But you know, we love Brand Smart. We love everyone.
You mean Best Browse?
We had best browse. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. That's great.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I'm still like, and I'm gonna take this with me. The whole thing about like Miami, you know, me, a me. Like,
Yeah.
I love it.
Oh, we hooked you up with some of our Sereno shirt.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let me ask you something, because this is very important. Do you have Sereno in California?
Of course.
And if you do, does it kill children?
I mean, it can kill a child. Yeah.
But is it only Cuban children? Does the Sereno make it to the West Coast from the Caribbean?
If that's maybe the 17 Cuban children that are here are the only ones that need to fear a Sereno.
So it could be like a Cuban, I don't want to say pandemic.
We don't want to say that.
But it's like a Cuban,
Yeah, it's a mist that just like seeks out Galletica Maria and Mistolín.
Yeah. It just knows where to go.
And knows, and maybe Fabuloso as well. If it smells some violetas and Fabuloso, it just goes right into
knows
that
where
home.
to go.
That makes it quicker.
Absolutely,
Right.
yeah. And then the abanico just fans it through the entire house, dude.
Yeah.
And then kids are done.
Yeah. That whole thing about a
I want to
Sereno,
make that into a Blumhouse movie.
hence we made it a t-shirt. That just doesn't go away, because like my kid, especially when he was younger, when I would take him to my parents' house, that I would park the car 10 feet away from the front of the house. My mom's like, ay, ponle una sábana al niño que lo coge el sereno. And I'm like, pero mom, I'm not walking a mile at night with the kid. It's like literally from here to here. Like,
So here you would make sure you say que te agarra el sereno. Because if you say que te coge el sereno, it means you're getting fucked by some mist.
Well, we don't.
I had to
well,
learn that really quickly. That's the
we don't
first
know
thing
what the
I had
mist
to
really
learn
does.
between Mexican culture.
That's
yeah.
true. That's
Mexican
true.
and Salvadorian culture here is that coger means to have sex.
Yeah.
And, I'm like being at the store or at the restaurant, I'm like, hey, cógeme ketchup. They look at you like, what the fuck are you talking about? You know?
Oh, wow.
Well, not anymore. I think people now get it. But when I first moved here, I really had to make that adjustment to say, agárrame.
See, that's when I think you should double down and be like, you heard me. Coge el cachu. Like, just
Right,
do
but what
it
you
right
said
now.
is true.
I don't want you to marry it.
Well,
Cógelo.
we said it's true. We don't know what a sereno really does.
We don't know. We don't know how it
That's
gets
a
inside of
valid
you.
point.
That's like how many people have died from una embolia, after eating
A potato chip. And going
no,
swimming.
after eating and
Yeah.
then going swimming in the beach.
Absolutely.
Te coge la embolia, and I'm like, so what happens?
Forget COVID. I want the data on these deaths.
Yeah, we need that data.
I need that data.
Yeah, and not
I
from the
need that.
Cuban government, because we know how trusted that data is.
No, not at all.
Yeah,
Not
yeah.
at all.
We need some Miami data.
Independent Miami resource data. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know what though? I have to tell you something though. I remember when I was in high school, I somehow ended up getting I think it was measles. I don't know how. And I got like a rash all over my body.
Sarampion.
I don't know what I
Great word.
and I remember I tried everything: Caladril, Aveeno, everything. And I remember my mom and my grandmother were like, "Eso, un baño de tilo te lo quita." And my father was the one's like, "Pero él está yendo al doctor," and they're giving him a prescription. Like, leave him alone. And after like a few days, I took a baño de tilo and it went away.
Was it psychosomatic? They're
I
like,
just-
bañate con bicarbonato. They heard that shit from
I think
Guatemala,
it's our
bro.
DNA. I think our DNA is, subject to that. It's
It's like the world's saddest group of X-Men.
Oye,
That's what our that's our mutant power.
Es verdad que the rash I had, el tilo made it go away. I was like, it's Cuban magic. I'm not asking any questions. I'm just happy it went away.
So you heard it here first. El sarampión is cured by tilo.
So, all right, store that you would get most excited to go to when you were a kid in the 80s in
Lionel
Miami.
Playworld.
Okay.
Excited
Okay. Yeah, Zaire was
and
great.
Kmart because of the snow, the frosty.
Oh, that's right. Both my brothers worked at Kmart.
Yeah, the
The
frosty.
one on Northwest 7th Street and 57th Avenue.
Oh,
Yeah.
that was next to Letrianong Jewelry.
and
that
next
was
to
like,
Chicken Plus.
yes, that
Yeah.
was.
And Fabulous Diamonds was across the street.
Fabulous.
That was my favorite store.
Yes.
I
I
would
used to
buy
go there
all
with
the
my mom
toys.
so
Yeah.
much.
Yeah, the little stupid party toys.
When
Yes.
they moved to Coraway, it wasn't the same thing.
No,
I never went afterwards. Yeah.
Yeah, they
okay.
they eventually moved to Coraway.
You boycotted it after that point.
You
You were like, no.
I don't even know if I still live
What
in
part of
Miami.
Miami did you grow up in?
Las Aguaceras.
Las Aguaceras.
Yeah. And try to explain that to people not from Miami. I'm like, Coral Gables adjacent.
Yeah.
It was 33134. So one block away and it was Coral Gables.
Over in our side of town in Westchester, we grew up going to this store called Cinco y Diez. Vamos Cinco y Diez. Vamos Cinco y Diez. Not knowing that Cinco y Diez was like the last 5 and dime in Miami.
Rosie's.
Or at
Yeah.
Den Cent.
It-
At Den Cent was Woolworth.
it
I had
was
no
Woolworth,
idea.
yeah.
My grandma used to call it that.
Yeah, it's insane. But you know which one? the
Rosie's
one-
5 and dime, yeah.
That then they went to Miller for like a year and it just didn't
yeah.
happen. But we used to go to Cinco y Diez. I remember.
That's
used
where I
to
got
get
my school supplies.
My school supplies and the Trapper Keeper.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. The late 80s people. It was a great time to be
It was an
alive.
amazing time to be alive.
was.
You know what though? Seriously, I think that our generation is a very special generation because
You can end it there. You don't have to explain.
we were the last people that our childhood was analog.
Yep.
We went out to play. We only had I don't want to say a handful, but certain TV stations. It wasn't a digital world, but the internet and everything that came around with that came at an early enough age for us that we also grew up
And we understand it. Yeah.
and understand it and grew up with it. But I think we are like the last because we still did go out to play. We still went out on our bikes. We still did all that, which just a few years later, people that are now maybe even 6, 7, 8 years younger than us, which is not that much, but in terms of that experience, maybe weren't. So I think that, we always go back and forth in terms of what generation we're in, if we're like older millennials
Or Gen X.
because I don't think we're Gen X, right?
I don't feel Gen X-y.
Gen X, I always call Reality Bites generation.
I don't
right?
feel that cynical.
Like we're not, we're not those people, but we're also not millennial. Like we're kind of like in a little gray area there. So I don't know what you think.
I know where. But I think we're just extremely versatile because of our upbringing. We understand certain things that people will not comprehend. Whether it's time, we'll appreciate certain things.
Right.
Time wise, for example, like what was the last show you recorded on VHS that you would set the VCR and you would record it on VHS? You know, maybe you had one friend that had a TiVo and you fucking hated them, but you recorded. For me, it was Lost. That's why I remember it. Lost was the last show that I would record on VHS. It was when I lived here in LA. And I recorded it on VHS.
You were recording
and it was,
up until
I was recording
I
until that time
super excited, and I would record Lost. And when I would hear previously on Lost, I would fucking get like a mental boner. But anyway, yeah. So
me too. It was the early 2000s, like maybe 2004 or 5, that I was still recording on VHS because it was tangible. I wanted it. It wasn't digital. Because
I didn't have on demand. I didn't have shit. I couldn't
there's so many, but there's so many things that happen to digital. You know, that se te rompe la caja, se te borra la memoria, alguien te lo borra. You know,
or in Miami, the guy that you pay off to give you the fucking DirecTV card te lo retira.
Pero esta tarjetica is, you know, my parents have never gotten la famosa
My parents
tarjetica.
neither. So yeah,
my parents have never gotten it, but they've been tempted to, and I'm like, mira, you always have to be que si se cae la señal, que la tarjetica se expiró y tienes que coger la otra. You know what we're talking about?
I have no idea what you guys were talking about.
It's like. Okay, so these receivers, even your DirecTV receiver has like, it looks like a credit card.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's like a SIM?
That you put in, it's like their
It's like a
version
SIM.
of a SIM card, right? And you put it in, right?
Okay.
If you, like my DirecTV, like if I open it, it has that card, right? Everybody knows that guy that sells those.
and they hack them. Yeah.
And they hack them. That you could get television in China. Like you could get like every TV station, everything there is. Huh. But the thing about it is that I don't really know how they got access to that. I think what happens is that these people get these cards or get the code or whatever, and then eventually they find out about it and they cancel them, so then you have to get another card.
Okay.
So there's like a
cable.
I think these are the people that brought a paquete over from Cuba. Those are the ones that are like, we need to figure out a racket in the United States. Well, I hope people know what the paquete is, but whatever. But those are the people
if you don't look it up.
Yeah, look it up. But I think that's the racket. They're like, fuck, man, oh, fuck, man, no sé qué toca hacer. And then they all become DirecTV.
Yeah. Did you like Lost, by the way?
The ending ruined it for me. Yeah, I loved it up until the end.
He would have been one of those people.
You know what? I was just trying to figure that out. If I thought he would be one of those people,
because I would always say I didn't watch Lost. Now, for any reason, I just didn't watch Lost. Although I did watch the end, but I felt that would happen with Lost because Lost, I feel, was one of those. It was one of those first like big shows like Lost, 24, like these epic shows, and now we have so many of that.
Well, it also was one of the first that came about like during the internet time.
Yeah, and I felt that people that watched Lost would always be like, "Do you watch Lost?" And then if you would tell them, "No, I don't." "Oh, let me tell you what happened." I'm like, "But I don't watch Lost." Like,
really? Oh yeah, okay.
Oh yeah, no. They felt the need to catch you up, and then they would not only tell you what's happening, but they're like, "Right, but this happened, and we think that because that happened, it means this and this and this and this and this." And it's like, I don't know what that means. Like, I'm just trying to have ravioli. I don't, like
I want Chef Boyardee right now. Let's just
so they were in purgatory.
Dude, and I don't fucking care at this point. At this point, I watched. I was like, "Qué clase mierda." That like The Walking Dead, dude. That show,
I stopped watching it.
Had the most brilliant pilot. The pilot of that show was spectacular. You watch that pilot, you're like,
great.
Holy shit, this is gonna be amazing. And no.
So,
did you watch all the way through? Or?
I gave up like season 6 maybe or 5.
I think like 5 for me.
I wanted to. Can I say a spoiler real quick?
Yeah.
Fuck, I was so happy when they killed Carl, and I was like, that's it. That's all I need. This is the end of my show.
So, when you think at your life's disappointments, maybe somebody broke your heart, maybe you missed an opportunity that you didn't get, the disappointments in your life. When I think of my life disappointments, among those disappointments was the end of Game of Thrones. Like, I haven't gotten over it. Because I was so... Did you watch it?
Could you even see it, though? Because it was so fucking dark.
So you watched the
part of the reason why he was upset.
Okay, but that's also why I haven't seen the new series. I haven't seen one. I could not give a shit about it.
Really?
Yeah, I haven't watched it.
Him and I are like
yeah, I've
exactly
given you
why.
enough of my life that I cannot get back.
This is why I also say if anything happens to you, he's stepping in, by the way. We'll make it happen. It's just one seat to the left.
We'll make it happen. Because that was such a hard show to watch because they would take like a year and a half between seasons, and then when they would come back, it was like, okay, only 8 episodes, and then they take another year and a half, and and then it's like all this anticipation, like the White Walkers. Oh my! And then it's like, oh, yeah. Daenerys went crazy. A character that they beautifully built up, just went crazy in the last episode.
How many Cubans named their kids Daenerys after that?
Daenerys, yeah.
Yeah. Right?
But
That's the most Cuban character in television history.
She might as well have shown up.
Even before her.
It's not Adela.
Even before her. I often think, was there a Cuban in the writer's room of Game of Thrones? Like, when this guy was writing the books? Because, like, Daenerys is a pretty Cuban name.
Right? Yeah.
I mean, the other ones were, like, not. But that one...
Daenerys, la madre de los dragones.
When you say it like that. Yeah. Ahí viene Daenerys y sus dragones.
Sus dragones para que joder.
Para que vengan a joder.
La chismosa por la ventana. Ahí viene Daenerys. Esos dragones se caen. Me han quemado el patio entero.
Yeah.
Me han dejado sin un mango.
Huge disappointment that I'm still not over 4 years later.
Yeah. Yeah. I actually, I catch myself saying Cubanisms out here. I'm like, fuck, how do I explain this to people? Yeah. Like me ronca los cojones. Yeah. And I'm like, fuck. My balls snore. That doesn't make
one
sense.
Of my personal.
They should get some sleep apnea machine.
So you're eating with the chicken nibbles.
Yeah, right.
Comiendo lo que pica pollo. That one's one of the best.
It's a great one.
Like, how do you explain that? I'm not sure I can, and I use it. Like,
see, that one I actually can explain.
Yeah.
No, I'm not making this up, like, literally, because the thing is that the chickens, like, siempre están, like, picking at, like, the shit.
Yeah.
And so it's that you're picking at, like, está comiendo mierda. Is
basically.
Yeah. So see, one myth debunked. There we go. One at a time.
You're eating of the That's like, or it's raining un
palo de agua?
No.
Palo de agua, that's a good one.
No,
it's water.
You put a bowl of rice y un mango, like, and people, arroz con mango. Like, it's one of those things that it's
no pega.
Yeah, but when you know.
Yeah, and there's no English equivalent for arroz con mango either.
No,
like, you never
it's
say
oil and vinegar.
No.
Fuck.
No, Bradford. It's not.
I have to say that, especially, I mean, I know LA obviously is very Latin and there's a million flavors here, but it is more Anglo than Miami. Even though there are a lot of Latin people here. Do you find that maybe one of the differences is that because I feel that Latin people were very warm. And, give me a hug, we kiss, we hug, no matter what country you're from, our families are like, yes, I speak to my mom every day and I speak to my dad every day.
Right.
And they're up they're up on my business and, I yell at them, para, like that type of thing. And I feel that, do you see that a lot that here that maybe some people are like, whoa, like.
No, not to be fair. No, not really. Because I mean, at the end of the day, right now we're sitting in what used to be Mexico.
Right.
And there.
No, pero como que hay más americanos,
No, there are más americanos, but I think that they're the burger, but they're surrounded by the bun that is Latineo that's here. Right. So there is a certain warmth, so
they're along for the ride.
And I think also more here so than in Florida than in Miami. Los gringos here embrace the Latin culture more than I think like gringos in Miami do.
The two that are left.
Well, you know what I mean? It's like they're like, oh, like in Miami. Every time I see like an American person, I say American, mind you, I'm American, but I see a gringo. I always imagine in their head they're like, oh, these fucking Cubans just don't shut up, and they're in. Goddamn, I just want to go to Publix and buy this. You know what I mean? I always have that. That's like my inner.
That's the whole narrative you've come up with.
That's the whole thing that I've come up with that they just hate us. Yeah. And here they all want to go and like try to speak Spanish at the restaurant and order in the menu in Spanish. Where I just don't see, I guess, that that embrace maybe. But I think one of the main distinctions for that is that when when my parents came from Cuba, 1961 and 62. As they say, they'll tell you que Miami era un campo, except for Miami Beach. There wasn't as much there. So much of the city and so much of it is built on drug cocaine money from the 80s.
You're welcome.
Yeah, so much, it's like the pyramids. Throw enough murder and death at something and look at what you can do, But
wow.
But no, that's not me. That's Louis C.K. Yeah. That's from his stand-up. It's like, throw enough like murder and death in something and look what happens. But here, down the street from me is the Wrigley house, like the Wrigley's from Chicago, and that house is probably 100 years old. There was already this level of like wealth here, in this part of the world. So when like there's not as many Latino politicians, there are, but it's not like Miami. It's not like Miami where every politician, I'm exaggerating, of course. It's like, it's like your comment. Now everybody's going to be like, well, look at a book. There's like, I know it's not just Ileana Ross Layton. I get it, right? Like, relax. You know what I mean? But like, it's like, but it just feels like that. And here it's just, I guess, a little bit different. It's a little bit different in that sense, but I think it has more so to do with the history and the amount of years that this was a bigger city.
LA is a bigger city. LA, I mean, it's much older than Miami and more established than Miami, and I feel that Miami has more of a transient community of people that come by Miami.
It's a stepping stone city
to go somewhere else. I mean, obviously there's people who stay,
of course.
No, I just feel that we say it here in the podcast all the time that one of like the bigger differences between, I feel, the Latin culture and the more Anglo culture is the communication or the relationships with family. There is this movie with Selma Hayek and Matthew Perry called Fools Rush In. I love that movie because there's a part, if you remember, he never wanted to deal with his parents, and I have to like deal with my parents are coming over. And I remember a scene of where she's telling him, my parents are not somebody that I deal with or my family. They're somebody who are a part of me, and if you're going to be in my life, you have to be a part of, like that whole thing. And I find that's a very big difference. I remember when I was living in the Midwest, a lot of my friends, que eran americano, they'd be like, you speak to your parents every day? I'm like, my grandmother calls me every morning to despertarme, right? She's my alarm clock. Then I speak to my dad when he's like going to work, and then I speak to my mom like 2 times. Like, and you don't? But they found that very odd, and I remember like I had classmates of mine that lived within like an hour of their parents, and they wouldn't go see their parents until semester ended. And I'm like, dude, if I lived an hour away from my parents, I would commute to school. Like,
yeah, but in all seriousness, I think a lot of this city, because there's so many people, like the big surprise here is when somebody tells you they're actually from here. Yeah. If you live here and somebody tells you that they're from here, like, oh fuck, you're the one.
Really?
Like, oh shit, you're actually from here. Oh yeah, I was born here and and I was born in this hospital, and where so many people come from all over, right? They're the land of hopes and dreams. And so many of those folks were maybe ostracized in their family, were pushed out of where they lived.
True.
So this city, in all fairness, is really embracing of everybody in that sense.
It's kind of made of outsiders.
Yeah, it's a city made of outsiders. And then the people that live here that are from here, it's a really great city in that sense. But it's a city of outsiders, so they're really embracing in that sense. So some people, they don't talk to their fucking parents because maybe they came out to their parents before they moved to LA, and their parents don't accept that they have a gay son or something. You know what I mean? It's like there's a lot of that here. Yeah, there's a lot of Mormons here who left Mormonism because they were gay. Right. I would meet them all the time, and they were like kicked out of their community, and they're embraced here in LA. Right.
They hopped on their bikes and just came.
Yeah, I mean, with their helmets, and their,
weird underwear. One of the things we're always happy to talk about when we've come to California, and we've always had a really good time here. And aside from California being so beautiful, I feel that California, for all the wrong reasons, people like to make it an example of what is and what isn't. So, a lot of times it goes down political lines like, oh, look at California and look at all this and, people sleeping on the streets and all that. And I'm like, yeah, that happens everywhere. Like that's a problem
that happens everywhere. It's just here the weather's better.
Right.
I mean, if you're going to sleep on the street, I would leave Colorado and come over here. Yeah. Yeah. No offense to Colorado, but I'm just saying.
Right. Like, but they build a narrative sometimes for their own biases against.
Of course, it's easier to point the finger at somebody else than at yourself.
Right. But I think that because California is such a beacon of more, and again, I don't want to make it sound political.
Well, there's a lot of visibility.
But a more progressive mind state, and a more liberal one, and it always has been. I think it's easy to fall prey to all these political arguments. And at the end of the day, it's a state like any other state in the U.S. with, its challenges, but with, a plethora of beautiful things and culture. I mean, the culture here is like insane, that is just a great place. And I always say it all the time, there's places around the country that I love for different reasons, but I think as a state, California is like the most beautiful state. Like, at the end of the day,
you have a little bit of everything, and I don't even mean it in a biased way. You drive up and down the coast of the state, and all my friends from Miami that'll come visit me will just tell me how beautiful it is here. Just you guys are saying driving to my house. The view,
so pretty.
And dude, I don't live in like a mansion in a, but it's very aesthetically pleasing. So if I'm gonna be stuck in traffic, I'm glad that I'm staring at mountains.
I always tell people when
hills, they're not mountains,
because a lot of people ask me about like travel advice. I always tell them, you want to take a trip that you will never forget, fly to start in like San Diego or like Southern California and take Pacific Coast Highway. Just go north. Yeah. Just go north. Yeah. You don't need plans. Just go north and stop in different places. I'm like, it will be the longest drive of your life because you're going to stop every few miles to take pictures. Like, mira el puente y la montaña y la cascada. It's gorgeous. It's beautiful. And you have deserts and you have skiing. Where else can you get that?
I still remember the first time I drove up from Los Angeles up to San Francisco. This would have been maybe like 2005, 2006. 2005, let's say. And I remember doing that, driving up. And one of the things that you see here that's very common is, like, for example, the Santa Monica Pier, which folks who don't know, it's this really cool pier, goes out, I don't know, a few hundred yards into the ocean. It has a little amusement park, blah, blah, blah. And you think that's the only one. But no, drive up the coast and, you have a pier here, you have a pier there.
Really?
And that's part of the culture. It's like the movie Lost Boys, if you remember the movie Lost Boys. But that is not shot in LA. That's shot up more in the Central Coast. There's just a lot of these little beach towns.
All those beach towns, yeah.
They're kind of cool. Mind you, and the water's fucking freezing, but they're cool.
Like Laguna Beach, Newport Beach, like all driving through that is gorgeous. And it's such a great experience. So, it's like, whatever, people, stop shitting on other places at all. Just every place has its every place has its challenges and its problems.
Absolutely.
And I'm sure that people that live in Hawaii, that's like,
paradise literally.
To most people. Yeah. The people that live there, they have challenges there.
I mean, Dog the Bounty Hunter would not have a show if it wasn't for the challenges in Hawaii.
That's
and
true.
Colorado, but
that's true. I had never thought about it that way.
Yeah.
But California really is an amazing place. So.
And honestly, what better way to end than an amazing California and the challenges of Dog the Bounty Hunter.
Yes.
to wrap
and meth in Hawaii.
And meth in Hawaii, really. That's what this episode was going to be about, but it got away from us. Sorry for, the PSA.
So to Eddie and to California, here's our last drink.
What is it? Rum. What is it?
Rum milk punch.
Rum milk punch,
yes.
all right, which
Havana Club milk
we've
punch.
had two
Cheers.
of already, and I may have a third.
Mm-hmm. That's why I hydrated you.
But you're so wise.
Yeah.
I'm so lucky to have friends
I'm like
who are
Yoda.
wise.
Like a little brown Yoda.
Because it's May the 4th.
You look great for being over 800.
It's true.
He moisturizes.
Yeah. It's
Were you about to do a Yoda impression?
It's the California air. So, anyway, everybody. Bueno, from California, from the West Coast. Thank you
Pasadena.
so much. From Pasadena. Where you at? Anyway, thank you for joining us on this special edition or a special episode of Pero Let Me Tell You. There was a lot of learning today. So as always, we hope you listen, laughed, and learned. And remember to grab your pastelito, your croqueta, and your cafecito. And thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Eddie, so much.
Yes, and I'm going to plug myself real quick. I'm at the Yum Yum Foodie on social media. And if you want to hear me drunk-ish talking shit, it's called Kill the Bottle Podcast.
I can't recommend your podcast enough.
Yes.
Thank you.
Like, I love listening to your podcast to the point where I didn't listen to your latest episode on the flight here because I was still kind of pissy about the TSA situation.
As you should
and
be.
I didn't want to be in a bad mood listening to your show.
I actually listen to your show more than to mine. So,
Well, I listen to yours more than to mine, so I think we have that in common.
There we
Yeah,
go.
because I was going to say...
We have a lot in common.
Yeah, you're more entertaining than we are. Yeah. But next time, we got to figure out how to have Megan here.
Oh yeah. We'll drag her out of her lair. Yeah, Damaris. We'll drag her out of her lair. Yeah.
Anyway, have a great weekend, everyone. See you next week.
Bye. Pero Let Me Tell You is co-hosted by Darian Borges and Ismaeliano, produced by Ismaeliano, and our theme, Pero Let Me Tell You Freestyle, is composed by Michael Angelo Lomlaplex, the official gay guy. And don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review on iTunes.